husband, and you can deal with each other. Deal with each other. It's fine. Listen, you're still kind to each other. You're still caring to each other. You still got a lot in common. You have good conversation. You want to stay married? Stay married. If you were both unbelievers and then the wife becomes a believer but her husband doesn't, here's what it says. Stay married best you can, because your presence in that house cleanses the whole house. You'll see your kids get saved. You'll see your husband get saved. You'll see your godly influence spread. How many of us could raise a hand and say, I had a praying mother, I had a praying grandmother, I had a praying great-grandmother? Go ahead and put a hand up. Last night, man, every hand was up, because, listen, ladies, your prayers are very powerful. When you pray for your children, when you pray for your spouse, you can sanctify that whole place. In Acts chapter 16, they believed and their whole household was saved. It's on us to intercede. You see the story in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 25 of Abigail, whose husband was a fool and had offended David after he had watched the flocks for months, came for payment. And he insulted David, and David got all of his men and said, let's slaughter that house. All of a sudden, his wife Abigail gets really quick some raisins, some bread, some wine, some food, and rushes out and intercepts David's war party. And says, David, look, my husband made a mistake. Please forgive him. Don't slaughter my servants. Don't slaughter my whole household. You don't have to do this, David. Someday you're going to be king. And David listened to Abigail, and he spared that house. Shortly after, Abigail's husband had a heart attack. And she would come back to David, and her and David would get married. David almost destroyed everything that he received. The point is this, though. There was a godly woman that intercepted that evil before it came to her family. The proverb says there's a kind of woman that builds up her house with her own hands. And then there's a kind of woman that rips it apart with her own hands. There's an order to things. There's rules to things. And it says, order yourself. Sanctify that house. Be somebody that prays. There's a tremendous book called The Case for Christ by Lee Strobel. And in it talks about his journey. He wasn't a believer. Wife became a believer. She was praying for him and praying for him. And he saw the change in her, how kind and loving and forgiving she was. And he was moved by her goodness. But he didn't want anything to do with Christ or church or religion. And so she prayed and prayed and prayed. And he, being a high-powered Lord, he finally said, you know what? I'm going to check out this Jesus thing. And he researched Jesus like it was a court case. And by the end of it, everything was verified. He put his faith in Jesus Christ and he became a Christian. And he wrote a great book called The Case for Christ that sold millions of copies. And now there's a movie about it. And I'm telling you, he's changed the lives of millions of people because his wife prayed for him. Be a praying wife. And if you've been a rebellious wife, if you've had a hard heart towards your husband, then today's a good day to change your life. And husbands, if you've been a harsh husband, if you've been a mean husband, if you haven't been a sacrificial husband, if you've been selfish, today's a good day to change. Lastly, I would say, children, you have to honor your father and mother. Hey, I've had the great joy of having 4 wonderful kids, and I enjoy their presence. I remember when my wife became pregnant and how exciting it was to put the hand on the belly and feel the little kick. That was pretty cool. I know it hurt her a lot, and I was just excited. But when the baby came, and man, those were some hard early days, especially that first one when you don't always know what you're doing and you go to the hospital real quick. That was a scary time, but man, it was an exciting time. And then when they're toddlers, they're so cute, and you get them the outfits. And, man, that was a great time. And everybody warned me about terrible twos, but terrible twos weren't terrible. They were awesome. I love seeing those little kids running around, man. I miss those days. Even those awkward years where they're like junior hires, man, those are fun times. They're learning to play video games, and you can let them win. And then we're playing basketball, and we let them win. But then when they go to high school, they got to let me win now. Kind of changes, doesn't it? Every stage has been a joy with these kids. Children are supposed to be a joy to your heart. If you train them up, if you discipline them, if you love them, if you encourage them, if you give them boundaries, you won't have it won't be like a bad dog in the other room. It'll be like, hey, this is a good dog. This is my kid, man. They're going to warm up. They're going to be empathetic. They're going to be kind. They're going to be caring. They're going to be compassionate. You and I should be those that are trainable. I remember at Bobby Bonds, I used to work there for a time when I was first moved here. And it used to be a really rough neighborhood back then. And they gave me the job. I mean, if you saw if you'd understand, they gave me the job. I was over the game room in the gymnasium, and they said, hey, we want to clean up the language around here. Listen, they curse like sailors over there. And they say, hey, if anybody uses racial or ethnic slurs, we want you to correct that. There's exactly one white guy over there, and it's me, all right? And you want me to correct everybody's language. This is a hard job. It's F this, mother F that. I mean, it was bad language. And the kids over there were horribly behaved. I mean, there was drugs on them. They're drinking. They're this big. They're chasing girls. They're punching holes in walls. They're stealing everything that's not nailed down. And my job is to tell them, hey guys, watch your language. You can't use that word. We don't talk like that here. I remember there's these two brothers. They call me Mr. White Trash. Hey, Mr. White Trash, F you. And they'd show me what they stole that day and run away. They're just bad kids, man. Always getting into fights. What's up, Mr. White Trash? Watch this. Double bird! I remember I prayed for those kids to come to church. I really did. I earnestly prayed for them. And you know what? They came to church. They came one time. North High School, we had church there. And they were so disruptive. They were horrible in church. It was one of the worst services we ever had. They were laughing. Every time I'd look up, they'd give me the bird. And they were just horrible. They left, right after they stormed out and yelled. And then they flipped me off when they were leaving. I felt like the Lord told me, you should have prayed, not just that they would come to church, but they would come to Christ. Right. He's like, I gave you what you wanted. They came to church. Are you happy now? I'm like, no, Lord. I'm not. The next 2 weeks, I get to hear how terrible my church is. I remember I called the